One thing that we were especially thinking through, just when we were, preparing for this interview, and I think looking up a lot, I think it's, unfortunately, I think Trenton, doesn't lead the state in a lot of good stats. It's usually
Mhm.
towards the bottom, unfortunately. And I think one thing when we were doing our own prep, kind of in understanding the history of the city, but also just seeing the current landscape of it, its unemployment rate, to your point, you mentioned the poverty rate, are significantly higher than the national average. With, I think we found that, one in five residents of the city are, below the poverty line. In your
Mhm.
view, you're solving so many problems within that. Just as you said with education, that's also a public safety issue. And oftentimes, as you know, as an education person, that's often a food issue. Do these kids have school before they even, step into our building? Um, as a mayor, how do you plan to kind of tackle the whole, but also try to tackle each one of those issues? Because you can't solve, a public health crisis without solving a transportation issue. You can't solve a food
Right.
issue without solving an infrastructure issue. How do you try to say, you know what, these are the plans that I'm going to have for the city, but also here's how we have to have a layered approach? I'm sure from your sense, it's like there's so much to do. How do you try to at least say, here's what we need to do tomorrow, next week? Because I'm sure that can be difficult in seeing all the problems that you live through every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're hitting it right on the head because if you're not dealing with all the issues, you're dealing with none of
None of
them,
them.
right? And especially in Trenton, right? It is a 360 issue, right? Environment, right? Where you have to deal with economic security, bringing more jobs in, balancing our housing, right? Funding our schools, right? The health issues that we have collectively here in Trenton that factor into it. It's the best example I can have in one of the projects that I'm championing, right? And this is literally like a 10, 15-year project, right? So Trenton, like a lot of urban cities, right? Like I was mentioning about urban renewal. Essentially, that's a fancy, right? Bougie Princeton way of saying that they threw a bunch of highways, right, all through your city, and especially through Black and brown neighborhoods, right, and cut us off from a lot of great economic opportunities, health opportunities, X, Y, and Z. Route 29 happened to us here in Trenton, and that cut us off from 50 acres of just green space and cut us off from the river. Right. I'm pushing to make that Route 29 more inland of a project, right? And it's primarily used right now to transport, frankly, outside white suburban people into their state jobs at 9 a.m. and then they go straight back out every single day at 5. Right. By making this, road more inland, this isn't just like a, Department of Transportation project, and we're talking about speed limits and X, Y, and Z. First of all, you capture a bunch of land that wasn't used before. How do we develop that into better housing, into more business opportunities for small businesses who are here, right? What jobs can we bring in here just based on having more space to move around? Trenton ain't so big. It's only about 7 square miles, right? So every little parcel of land matters. But on top of that, when we get more of this space back, we can redevelop our parks because strangely enough, humans do well with plants and access to nature. It's weird. I don't know. I feel like you might have to do some studies to back up what I just said, but literally just having more green space, right, would actually be a public safety conversation
Mhm.
because now people feel better and they feel happier and more optimistic, and you're less likely to engage in any criminal behavior because your outlook on life is better, right? Having that extra space and extra money rolling around from all these businesses now feeds into our school district,
Mhm.
which means that we can increase the educational opportunities for our kids, bringing more people who want to move into Trenton, right, with more income that goes back into city coffers, where more services that we can provide, all because of the simple idea that we want to move a failed highway into the city.
And with that being said, what is your plan to get more businesses, small businesses? It's hard to start a business. I know in New York, especially with small business owners, it's not the same as it used to be. Like rent for a building can cost a lot, and then you have tariffs and all of these other things. So what incentives do you think that you will be able to make to get small businesses and businesses to come to Trenton?
Yeah, so in preparation for the job that I want, right? Because you got to do all the things, right? You shoot for the job that you want, not for the one that you have. I'm also headed the downtown association, right? So I work day in, day out with our small businesses, and these are literally mom and pop shops, right? That are selling us. I got to get y'all down to Trenton, all right? Because we got some of the meanest barbecue out here. You wouldn't think it in the north, all right? But yo, our barbecue, our smokehouse, unrivaled, unrivaled, right? And some great bars and restaurants, like our legal services, multi services, like literally just mom and pop shops, right? And the thing I hear all the time is that, hey, if we had number one, just some additional funding to come in, so we could buy X, Y, and Z piece of equipment to take us to the next level, that would be revolutionary, right? And we provided funding through some of our grant programs. We have a few grants out there to support our small businesses. But most importantly, we don't just cut them a check and say, hey, good luck to you, right? We follow up them specifically with business counselors and coaches because we know that, $5,000 today is only going to last you a month or two. But if you teach a man to fish, right? They'll never go hungry, right? And that's what we're trying to do with our downtown. We literally give people the free tools to continue to succeed well past this grant, right? And that doesn't take much money at all. That literally is just an hourly, like $50 an hour rate, right? To support, frankly, other small businesses that are these consultants, right? So we just keep pouring into everybody who is Trenton, and it makes us all better.